The rain pounded the pavement, relentless drumbeat drowning out the world, but it couldn't silence the scream in my chest. I gripped Lena's hand, her fingers trembling in mine as we sprinted through the alley, the city's neon glow chasing us like a predator. We were fugitives now, two women in love, running from a world that refused to let us be. My name is Riley Carter, 25, a mechanic with grease-stained hands and a heart too stubborn to quit. Lena Voss, 24, the daughter of biotech titan Victor Voss, was everything I wasn't: polished, poised, and heir to an empire that could buy entire cities. But she was also mine, and I was hers, in a way that made the world feel too small to contain us. We met in a dive bar in Chicago, her laugh cutting through the noise like sunlight through storm clouds. One stolen glance, one reckless kiss, and we were done for. Her father's empire, Voss Biotech, loomed over us from the start, a shadow we couldn't outrun. When he found out, he didn't just disapprove, he vowed to destroy me. "Riley, we can't stop," Lena gasped, her breath visible in the cold air. Her dark hair clung to her face, soaked from the rain, but her eyes burned with a fire that matched mine. "He'll find us." "I know," I said, pulling her closer as we ducked behind a dumpster. The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, a reminder of the private security her father had unleashed. Victor Voss didn't just want his daughter back, he wanted to erase me from her life. But we had a plan, a desperate, half-baked one. We'd disappear, start over somewhere far from his reach. We had cash, fake IDs, and a beat-up car waiting at the edge of the city. Freedom was so close I could taste it, bitter and sweet like the rain on my lips. We'd been running for weeks, ever since Lena slipped out of her father's mansion in the dead of night, her suitcase stuffed with clothes and dreams. She left behind a life of privilege for me, for us, for a love her father called an abomination. I didn't have much to offer: a rundown apartment, a job fixing cars, a past littered with mistakes, but I gave her everything I had. And she gave me her heart, fragile and fierce, a gift I swore to protect. The alley opened into a deserted street, and we slowed, catching our breath. Lena leaned against me, her body trembling from cold or fear, or both. "Do you think we'll make it?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rain. I cupped her face, brushing wet strands from her cheek. "We're together. That's all that matters." But even as I said it, doubt gnawed at me. Victor Voss wasn't just a man. He was a machine, his company a labyrinth of power and secrets. We were ants trying to outrun a giant. We reached the car, a rusted Chevy that smelled of oil and hope. I slid into the driver's seat, Lena beside me, her hand resting on my thigh like an anchor. The engine roared to life, and we tore out of Chicago, the city lights blurring into streaks of color. We didn't know where we were going, not exactly. South, maybe, to a small town where no one knew our names. We'd build a life, simple and quiet, where love didn't have to hide. Days turned into weeks, then months. We settled in a sleepy coastal town in North Carolina, renting a tiny beachside cottage under fake names. I got work at a local garage, my hands always stained with grease, while Lena taught art classes to kids, her smile brighter than the sun on the waves. We were careful, always looking over our shoulders, but for the first time, we felt free. We'd lie in bed at night, her head on my chest, whispering about a future we could almost touch, a house, a family, a life where we didn't have to run. But freedom is fragile, and ours shattered the day Lena started coughing. At first, it was just a cold, or so we thought. Then came the fevers, the fatigue, the way her skin paled under the Carolina sun. The local doctor's face grew grim as he ran tests, his words hitting like a sledgehammer: a rare blood disorder, aggressive and untreatable without cutting-edge therapy. Therapy only one company in the world could provide: Voss Biotech. I sat by Lena's hospital bed, her hand limp in mine, her eyes fluttering with exhaustion. "We have to go back," she whispered, her voice weak but resolute. My father, he's the only one who can help. I wanted to scream, to tear the world apart. Going back meant facing Victor Voss, the man who'd rather see me dead than with his daughter. It meant risking everything we'd fought for. But Lena was fading, and I'd burn the world to save her. We'll go, I said, my voice cracking. But we do it our way. The hospital room was too quiet, the beep of machines a cruel metronome. I looked at Lena, her face etched with pain, but still so beautiful it hurt. We'd run from her father once, but now we had no choice. Voss Biotech held the key to her survival, and I'd walk into hell itself to get it. The road back to Chicago stretched like a wound across the country, every mile a reminder of what we'd left behind. Lena slept in the passenger seat, her breathing shallow, her skin too pale against the faded upholstery of our Chevy. I gripped the wheel, my knuckles white, as the weight of our decision pressed down on me. We'd spent a year building a life in North Carolina, a fragile sanctuary where love was our rebellion. Now we were driving back into the lion's den, straight to Victor Voss and his empire of glass and steel. Voss Biotech wasn't just a company. It was a fortress, its research labs guarded like military secrets. The cure for Lena's illness, a gene therapy still in trials, was locked behind those walls, and I had no idea how to get it. Lena stirred, her hand reaching for mine. Riley, she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. What if he says no? He won't. I lied, squeezing her hand. But the truth clawed at me. Victor Voss had the power to save her, or to let her die just to punish us. I'd seen the hatred in his eyes the night he found us together, his voice cold as he called Lena a disgrace. He'd cut her off without a cent, hired men to track us, and made it clear I was nothing but a stain on his legacy. We stopped at a gas station just outside Raleigh, the fluorescent lights buzzing like angry wasps. I filled the tank while Lena leaned against the car, her sweater too big for her thinning frame. We need a plan, she said, her eyes scanning the horizon as if answers hid in the dusk. My father won't just hand over the cure. I know. I slammed the gas pump back into place, frustration boiling over. But we're not begging. We'll find a way, leverage, blackmail, whatever it takes. Her lips curved into a faint smile, the kind that always made my heart ache. You're still my reckless mechanic. And you're still my princess, I shot back, pulling her into a quick kiss. Her lips were cold, but the warmth of her love burned through. We couldn't afford to lose hope, not now. Back on the road, we brainstormed. Lena knew her father's company better than anyone. She'd grown up in its shadow, privy to its secrets before she'd chosen me over it all. There's a researcher, she said, her voice stronger now. Dr. Emily Chen. She's brilliant, and she's sympathetic. If we can get to her, she might help. Sympathetic how? I asked, glancing at her. Lena hesitated, then said, she's family. You know, like us. Hope flickered, fragile but real. Dr. Chen could be our way in, but reaching her meant infiltrating Voss Biotech's headquarters, a skyscraper in downtown Chicago, bristling with security. We needed to cover a way to blend in. Lena suggested posing as consultants, using her knowledge of the company to fake credentials. I'd handle the tech, hacking basic systems to get us access. It was a long shot, but it was all we had. By the time we reached Chicago, Lena's condition was worsening. Her coughs came in fits, each one stealing a piece of her strength. We checked into a cheap motel on the city's edge, the kind of place that didn't ask questions. I helped Lena into bed, her body light as a bird's. We're close, I whispered, brushing her hair back. Just hold on. The next morning, we staked out Voss Biotech's headquarters. The building was a monolith of glass, reflecting the city's skyline like a cold, unblinking eye. Security was tight, guards at every entrance, cameras everywhere. Lena, despite her weakness, mapped out the layout from memory: employee entrances, server rooms, the lab where Dr. Chen worked. I used a burner laptop to probe their network, finding a weak spot in their delivery system. A fake delivery order could get us inside, but we'd need uniforms, IDs, and a hell of a lot of luck. We spent days preparing, every moment a race against Lena's fading health. I forged IDs using a shady contact from my old life, a guy who owed me a favor. Lena coached me on her father's world, corporate jargon, the way executives moved. We were playing a dangerous game, but the thought of losing her drove me forward. At night, we'd lie together, her head on my shoulder, and she'd talk about the future, a house by the sea, a child we'd raise together. "We'll name her Hope," she said once, her voice dreamy. I held her tighter, promising myself we'd make it real. The day of the plan, Lena was too weak to walk far. I carried her to the car, her arms around my neck, and we drove to the delivery entrance. Dressed in stolen uniforms, we looked the part, two workers delivering lab equipment. My heart pounded as we approached the guard, but Lena's charm, even weakened, was magic. She smiled, answered his questions, and we were waved through. Inside, the air was sterile, the hum of machinery a constant pulse. We navigated corridors, Lena leaning on me, her breathing labored. Dr. Chen's lab was on the 12th floor. We took the service elevator, my hand never leaving Lena's. When the doors opened, a woman in a lab coat stood waiting, Dr. Emily Chen, her eyes sharp but kind. "You're Lena," she said, glancing between us. "And you must be Riley." Lena nodded, too weak to speak. I stepped forward. "We need your help. Lena's sick, and your company has the cure." Dr. Chen's face softened, but her voice was firm. "I know about the therapy, but getting it won't be easy. Victor's watching everything." Dr. Chen led us into her lab, a maze of gleaming equipment and blinking monitors. Lena leaned heavily on me, her steps faltering, but her eyes stayed locked on Dr. Chen, hope flickering in their depths. The air smelled of antiseptic and ambition, a reminder of the empire we were challenging. "Sit," Dr. Chen said, pointing to a stool. She glanced at Lena's pale face, her expression shifting to concern. "How long has she been like this?" "Weeks," I said, helping Lena sit. "It's getting worse. The local doctor said it's a blood disorder, rare, aggressive. Your company's gene therapy is her only shot." Dr. Chen nodded, her fingers flying across a tablet. "The therapy's still experimental. Victor's kept it under lock and key, only accessible to his inner circle. He's paranoid about leaks." She paused, her gaze softening. "But I've seen what he's done to you too. I'll help, but we're risking everything." Lena reached for my hand, her grip weak but determined. "Why are you doing this?" she asked Dr. Chen. "You don't know us." Dr. Chen's lips pressed into a thin line. "I know what it's like to hide who you are. My partner, she's why I stay here, fighting from the inside. If I can help you, it's a blow against people like Victor." Her words hit me hard, a reminder that our fight wasn't just ours. There were others, shadows in the margins, battling the same hate. I squeezed Lena's hand, my resolve hardening. "What do we need to do?" Dr. Chen outlined the plan. The therapy was stored in a secure vault on the 15th floor, accessible only by biometric scans, Victor's, specifically. But there was a back door, a maintenance override in the server room that could bypass the locks. I'd handle the tech, using my skills to hack the system, while Dr. Chen would guide us and cover our tracks. Lena, too weak to help physically, would be our eyes, monitoring security feeds from a tablet Dr. Chen provided. The lab was our temporary sanctuary, but time was slipping away. Lena's coughs were more frequent, each one a knife in my chest. Dr. Chen gave her something for the pain, but it was a bandage on a breaking dam. We had to move fast. That night, we slipped through the building's underbelly, guided by Dr. Chen's directions. The server room was a fortress of wires and blinking lights, the air cold and humming with electricity. I cracked open my laptop, my fingers dancing over the keys as I probed the system. Lena sat beside me, her breathing shallow, the tablet glowing in her lap. "Cameras are clear," she whispered, her voice strained but steady. Dr. Chen stood guard at the door, her own nerves betraying her calm facade. Hurry, Riley. Security does rounds every 20 minutes. The override was buried deep, a tangle of code that fought me at every turn. Sweat beaded on my forehead as I worked, Lena's hand on my shoulder grounding me. Finally, I found it, a backdoor left by a careless programmer. I punched in the commands, and the system beeped, granting access to the vault. "We're in," I said, exhaling. But the victory was short-lived. An alarm blared, red lights flashing. Lena's tablet lit up with movement, guards heading our way. "Riley, we have to go." Lena's voice was sharp, her strength fading but her will unbroken. Dr. Chen grabbed my arm, pulling us toward a service stairwell. We ran, Lena stumbling, my arm around her waist. The vault was close, but so were the guards. The 15th floor was a labyrinth of glass offices and locked doors. Dr. Chen swiped her badge, leading us to the vault, a massive steel door with a biometric panel. My hack had disabled the main lock, but we still needed Dr. Chen's clearance to enter. She pressed her hand to the scanner, her face tense. The door hissed open, revealing racks of vials glowing under sterile light. "There," Dr. Chen pointed to a case marked GT17. "That's the therapy." I grabbed it, tucking it into my bag, but footsteps echoed behind us. "Guards." Dr. Chen shoved us toward a side exit. "Go. I'll stall them." "No," Lena protested, her voice breaking. "We can't leave you." "You have to," Dr. Chen said, her eyes fierce. "Get out, save her. I'll be fine." I didn't want to leave her, but Lena was fading fast. I pulled her through the exit, the vial case clutched tight. We stumbled down a fire escape, the city's chaos swallowing us as we hit the streets. Sirens wailed, but we didn't stop. The Chevy was parked blocks away, our last hope. Lena collapsed against me as we reached the car, her breathing ragged. "Did we do it?" she whispered. "We got it," I said, holding her close. But the weight of what came next crushed me. The therapy needed a specialized facility to administer, and Voss Biotech was the only one equipped. We'd stolen the cure, but we weren't free yet. The Chevy's engine roared as we sped out of Chicago, the vial case cold against my thigh. Lena slumped in the passenger seat, her eyes half closed, her hand clutching mine like a lifeline. We'd escaped Voss Biotech with a cure, but the victory felt hollow. Lena was slipping away, and we had nowhere to go. "We need a hospital," I said, my voice tight. "Somewhere they can administer this." Lena shook her head, her breath shallow. "No hospital will touch it. It's experimental. My father's people will be watching." She was right. Victor Voss's reach was endless, his influence a web strangling the city. The therapy required a clean room, specialized equipment, and a doctor willing to risk their career. Our only option was to find an ally, someone outside Voss's control. But who? Dr. Chen's sacrifice burned in my mind. She'd stayed behind, facing the guards to buy us time. I didn't know if she'd been caught, but I owed her everything. Lena's tablet, still in her lap, pinged with a message, a burner number untraceable. "Riley," it read, "safe house in Milwaukee. Dr. Patel. She's with us." Dr. Chen had come through even now. Milwaukee was a 4-hour drive, a gamble with Lena's life. I pushed the Chevy to its limits, the road blurring past as I fought panic. Lena drifted in and out, her voice soft when she spoke. "Riley, if I don't make it." "Don't." I cut her off, my throat burning. "You're going to be fine. We're almost there." The safe house was a nondescript warehouse on Milwaukee's outskirts, its windows dark. I carried Lena inside, her weight terrifyingly light. Dr. Patel, a wiry woman in her 40s with steady hands and sharp eyes, met us at the door. "You're Chen's friends," she said, "no questions, just action." She led us to a makeshift lab, clean and equipped, hidden behind crates. "Set her here," Dr. Patel said, pointing to a cot. She examined the vial case, her brow furrowing. "This is GT-17. It's untested outside trials. You sure about this?" "It's her only chance," I said, my voice breaking. Lena nodded weakly, trust in her eyes. Dr. Patel worked fast, prepping the therapy with a precision that calmed my racing heart. Lena lay still, and four in her arm, the clear liquid flowing into her veins. I sat beside her, holding her hand, every beep of the monitor a prayer. "Stay with me," I whispered, my lips brushing her knuckles. Hours passed, the warehouse silent except for the hum of machines. Dr. Patel monitored Lena's vitals, her face unreadable. "It's working," she said finally. "Her counts are stabilizing. But she's not out of the woods." Relief flooded me, but it was fleeting. The safe house wasn't safe for long. Victor's men would find us. We needed to move again, but Lena was too weak. Dr. Patel offered a solution, a network of allies, people like her and Dr. Chin, who'd spent years fighting systems like Voss's. They could hide us, but we'd have to trust them completely. That night, Lena woke, her eyes clearer than they'd been in weeks. "Riley," she whispered, pulling me close. "You did it." "We did it," I corrected, kissing her forehead. Her warmth was a miracle, but fear lingered. Victor wouldn't stop, and the therapy was only a start. Lena needed ongoing treatment, and Voss Biotech controlled the supply. Dr. Patel gave us a lead, a former Voss scientist, Dr. Marcus Lee, who defected after clashing with Victor. He was in hiding, working on replicating GT-17 independently. If we could find him, we might break free of Voss's grip. But Lee was a ghost, his location known only to a few. Dr. Patel promised to connect us, but we'd have to wait days, maybe weeks. We stayed in the safe house, Lena growing stronger each day. We talked about the future, about hope, the child we dreamed of. But the shadow of Victor loomed. One night, the tablet pinged again, a warning from Dr. Chen's network. Voss's men were closing in, their resources vast. We had to move. Dr. Patel arranged transport to a safe house in Minneapolis, a small apartment tucked above a bookstore. We traveled under cover of night, Lena curled against me in the back of a van. The new safe house was warm, filled with books and the scent of coffee, a stark contrast to the danger outside. Lena's strength returned slowly, her laugh a melody I'd feared I'd never hear again. But Minneapolis wasn't the end. Dr. Lee's location came through, a cabin in northern Minnesota, off the grid. We prepared to move again, knowing each step brought us closer to freedom or ruin. Lena and I made a pact. No matter what, we'd face it together. Love had carried us this far, and it would carry us further. The Minnesota woods were a world of whispers, pine trees stretching into the sky like silent sentinels. Lena and I arrived at Dr. Lee's cabin at dawn, the air crisp and heavy with the scent of earth. She leaned on me, stronger now but still fragile, her hand warm in mine as we approached the weathered door. Dr. Marcus Lee was a shadow of a man, his face lined with years of defiance. "You're Lena Voss," he said, his voice gruff but not unkind. "And you're the one who stole from Victor." He glanced at me, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "We need your help," I said, holding up the vial case, now nearly empty. "Lena's stable, but she needs more of this. Can you make it?" Lee ushered us inside, the cabin a cluttered mix of lab equipment and books. "I've been working on GT-17 for years," he said, examining the vial. "Victor shut me out when I questioned his ethics. He's using the therapy as leverage, not a cure." Lena sat, her breathing steady but her eyes fierce. "My father doesn't care about saving lives. He cares about control. Can you help us?" Lee nodded. "I can synthesize it, but it'll take time. And resources. Victor's men are everywhere. I've been dodging them for months." The cabin was our new sanctuary, but it felt like a trap waiting to spring. Lee worked tirelessly, his makeshift lab a beacon of hope. Lena helped where she could, her knowledge of Voss Biotech's research invaluable. I took on the role of lookout, hacking into local networks to monitor for threats. Every day, Lena grew stronger, her laugh echoing through the cabin, but the fear never left us. Victor's reach was long, and we were running out of places to hide. One night, as snow dusted the windows, Lena pulled me close. "Riley, if we get through this, I want a real life with you. A home. A family. We'll have it," I promised, my voice thick. "You, me, and hope." Her smile was worth every risk, every sleepless night. But the world didn't wait for our dreams. A week into our stay, Lee's burner phone buzzed with a warning. Voss's men had tracked us to Minnesota. We had hours, maybe less. Lee packed his research, a hard drive with the GT17 formula, and we prepared to run again. Lena was stronger, but the therapy wasn't complete. She needed one more dose to stabilize fully. We fled under moonlight, the snow crunching under our boots. Lee led us to a safe house in Duluth, a fishing shack by Lake Superior. The drive was tense, every headlight a potential threat. Lena clung to me, her warmth a reminder of why we fought. At the shack, Lee set up his equipment, working to finish the therapy. "One dose," he said. "Then you're free." But freedom came at a cost. The next morning, as Lee prepared the final batch, the shack's radio crackled. A contact from Dr. Chen's network. Victor himself was coming, leading a team to retrieve Lena and the formula. He wasn't just after us anymore. He wanted Lee's research, the key to his empire's future. "We can't run forever," Lena said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "We have to face him." I shook my head, panic rising. "He'll kill us, Lena. Or worse." She cupped my face, her touch grounding me. "We've defied him before. We can do it again. Together." Lee agreed to a desperate plan. We'd confront Victor, but not on his terms. The shack was isolated, perfect for a trap. I rigged the perimeter with alarms using scavenged tech, while Lee prepared decoy vials to throw Victor off. Lena, despite her fragility, insisted on helping, her mind sharp as ever. We'd lure Victor in, stall him, and escape with the real formula. As night fell, headlights pierced the darkness. Victor's convoy rolled in, sleek black SUVs that screamed power. Lena and I stood together, the vial of GT17 hidden in my jacket. Victor stepped out, his face a mask of cold fury. "Lena," he said, his voice like ice. "You've caused enough trouble." She stood tall, her hand in mine. "I'm not your property, father. And neither is Riley." Victor's eyes locked on me, venom in his gaze. "You think you can steal from me? My daughter? My research?" "We're saving her," I spat, stepping forward. "Something you'd never do." The standoff was electric, every second a heartbeat. Lee signaled from the shack, ready with the decoys. We just needed to buy time. But Victor was done talking. He raised a hand, and his men moved in, guns glinting in the moonlight. The air crackled with tension as Victor's men closed in, their boots crunching on the frozen ground. Lena's hand tightened in mine, her pulse racing against my skin. The fishing shack was our last stand, Lake Superior's icy waves crashing in the distance like a warning. "Stay behind me," I whispered to Lena, my voice low but fierce. She nodded, her eyes blazing with defiance despite her fragile state. Dr. Lee stood at the shack's door, clutching the decoy vials, his face set with grim determination. We had one shot to outsmart Victor Voss, a man who'd built an empire on control and fear. Victor stepped closer, his tailored coat a stark contrast to the wild Minnesota night. "Lena, come home," he said, his tone deceptively soft. "This mistake ends now." "She's not going anywhere," I snapped, stepping between them. My heart pounded, but I held my ground. The real GT 17 vial hidden in my jacket. You don't own her. His eyes narrowed, a predator sizing up prey. You're nothing, Riley. A mechanic playing at rebellion. Give me the formula, and I might let you walk away. Lena's voice cut through the cold. The formula isn't yours to control, Father. It's for saving lives, not your bank account. Victor's facade cracked, anger flashing across his face. You've betrayed everything I built for you. You built nothing for me, Lena shot back, her voice steady despite her weakness. You built it for yourself. The standoff broke as one of Victor's men lunged forward, aiming for Lee. I reacted on instinct, shoving Lena behind a stack of crates and tackling the guard. Chaos erupted, shouts, the clatter of metal, the crack of a gunshot. I wrestled the guard to the ground, my fists fueled by desperation. Lee threw a decoy vial, shattering it to distract the others, while Lena scrambled to the shack, her coughs echoing in the chaos. Riley, she screamed, as another guard grabbed me. I fought back, my mechanic's hands strong from years of wrenching steel. Lee tossed another decoy, the liquid hissing as it hit the snow, buying us seconds. I broke free, diving for Lena, who clutched the tablet, frantically signaling Dr. Chen's network for backup. Victor stood unmoved, his eyes locked on Lena. You're dying, he said coldly. Without my company, you have nothing. She has me, I growled, pulling Lena close. The real vial burned against my chest, our last hope. Lee shouted from the shack. Go. I'll hold them off. We ran, slipping through the crates toward the lake's edge. The alarms-eyed rig screeched, disorienting Victor's men. Lena stumbled, her strength fading, but I caught her, half carrying her toward a boat Lee had prepped. Gunfire rang out, and I felt a sting in my arm. Blood. But I didn't stop. We reached the boat, a small motorboat bobbing in the icy water. I pushed Lena aboard, my hands shaking as I started the engine. Victor's voice boomed behind us. You can't run forever. The boat lurched forward, the lake swallowing us into its darkness. Lena clung to me, her breathing ragged but her eyes alive with fire. We made it, she whispered, her voice breaking. Not yet, I said, scanning the shore. Victor's men were regrouping, their lights piercing the night. But the tablet pinged, a message from Dr. Chen's network. Backup was close, a team of allies ready to take us to safety. I held Lena tighter, the vial safe, her heartbeat my anchor. We docked miles away, at a hidden cove, where Dr. Patel waited with a van. She administered the final GT-17 dose, Lena's color returning with each passing minute. You're going to make it, Dr. Patel said, her voice warm with relief. But the war wasn't over. Victor had Lee, and the formula was still a target. In the van, Lena rested against me, her strength slowly returning. We need to end this, she said. For hope. For us. I nodded, my mind racing. Dr. Chen's network had a plan: expose Victor's corruption. Lee's research included evidence of Voss Biotech's unethical practices, human trials, suppressed data, lives sacrificed for profit. If we could get it to the right people, we could bring him down. The safe house in Minneapolis was our base. Lena, now stable, worked with Patel to organize the evidence, while I hacked into Voss Biotech servers, leaking files to journalists in Dr. Chen's network. Every upload was a risk, but each one chipped away at Victor's empire. Lena's knowledge of the company was our weapon, her courage our strength. Days later, the first article hit, a damning exposé in a major outlet. Voss Biotech stock plummeted, and Victor's name became a headline for all the wrong reasons. But he wasn't done. A message came through the tablet, untraceable but unmistakably his. You'll pay for this, Lena. The Minneapolis safe house buzzed with quiet urgency, the scent of old books mingling with the hum of laptops. Lena sat at a table, her face glowing in the screen's light, stronger now but still carrying the weight of our fight. The GT-17 therapy had saved her, but Victor's threat hung over us like a storm cloud. The exposés were spreading, each article a crack in Voss Biotech's foundation. Dr. Chen's network had grown, allies from across the country feeding us tips and resources. But Victor was a wounded animal, dangerous, desperate. We'd learned he'd detained Dr. Li, using him to rebuild the GT-17 formula under duress. Lena's eyes burned with guilt. "We can't leave him," she said, her voice firm. "He risked everything for us." I agreed, but the risk was crushing. Victor's men were scouring the country, and our safe house wouldn't stay hidden forever. We needed to end this. Not just for us, but for Hope, the child we dreamed of, and for everyone Victor had crushed under his empire. The plan was bold. Infiltrate Voss Biotech one last time, freely, and release the final evidence to destroy Victor for good. Lena mapped out the headquarters again, her memory sharp despite the months away. "There's a board meeting in 3 days," she said. "My father will be there, distracted. It's our chance." I worked the tech, building a virus to cripple Voss Biotech's security systems. Dr. Patel connected us with a whistleblower inside the company, a janitor named Maria who'd seen too much. She'd get us in through a maintenance tunnel. Lena, now strong enough to move, insisted on coming. "This is my fight too," she said, her hand squeezing mine. I couldn't say no. Her fire was why I loved her. The night of the mission, Minneapolis glittered below us, a city unaware of the war we waged. Maria met us at the tunnel, her face lined with quiet courage. "For my daughter," she whispered, handing us key cards. "She's like you." The words hit hard, a reminder of the lives tied to our fight. We slipped into the headquarters, the air heavy with the scent of steel and ambition. My virus worked, cameras looping static, alarms silenced. Lena led the way, her steps sure despite the danger. We found Lee in a basement lab, bruised but alive, his eyes lighting up when he saw us. "You came back," he said, voice hoarse. "Of course," Lena said, unlocking his restraints. But as we turned to leave, the lights snapped on. Victor stood in the doorway, flanked by guards, his face a mask of rage. "You think you can ruin me?" he snarled, stepping forward. "Lena, you're my blood. This ends now." Lena faced him, unafraid. "You're not my family. Riley is. Lee is. Everyone you've hurt, they're my family." Victor's hand twitched toward a gun, but I was faster, tackling him. The guards lunged, but Maria appeared, wielding a fire extinguisher like a weapon, buying us time. Lena grabbed Lee and we ran, the virus still cloaking our escape. We reached the server room, uploading the final evidence, records of Victor's crimes, unredacted, sent to every major outlet. Alarms blared as we hit the tunnels, Victor's shouts fading behind us. Maria stayed back, her sacrifice ensuring our escape. We emerged into the night, Lee between us, the city alive with chaos as the news broke. Voss Biotech was done, its secrets exposed, Victor's empire crumbling. We fled to a safe house in Wisconsin, a farmhouse surrounded by fields. Lena's health held, the therapy a success. Lee, free at last, worked to open-source GT-17, ensuring no one like Victor could control it again. Lena and I lay in the grass one night, stars above us, her hand in mine. "We did it," she whispered, her voice soft but strong. "We're free." "For Hope," I said, kissing her gently. The future stretched before us, a home, a family, a life built on love, not fear. Victor was gone, his power broken, but our fight had forged something stronger, a world where love could win. Years later, we stood in that same field, a little girl with Lena's eyes running toward us. Hope, our daughter, laughed as we scooped her up, her tiny hands reaching for the stars. We'd fought for her, for us, for everyone who dared to love against the odds. And in that moment, under the endless sky, we knew we'd won.